Welcome to this drive trying out Tesla's FSD beta. Here are my settings, and here's how you know that the full self-driving is in control. Now, on to the video.
Alright. We are in a mild rain, I would say, at this point, at least for this part of Texas. I just kind of moved down here a few months ago, so I'm assuming this is mild for this part of Texas, but I know since I've been down here, there's been some epic thunderstorms. So this is nothing. This is like the rain I would get in New Jersey. That would be like moderate rain. But down here we get like torrential rains and the place be flooded. They only last like a couple minutes, but then they're boom. They come strong and fast. And usually there's a lot more lightning and thunder. This is nothing. So I recorded a bunch of videos before, but I always have the AC on, and it turns out the AC really messes with the sound. So you might not even see those videos get uploaded because they were so rough. And they were in dry weather. We're not even driving. Alright. I don't know what just happened there. Okay. That was very odd. Nope, that is wrong. It's trying to go over in that lane. There's actually a car over there. That's borderline dangerous. Alright, we're back on. We're not going to go 47. I don't know if we want to go 45. I think 40 is the highest we're going to go. Okay, nope. I don't know why we're slowing down here. Changing lanes to follow route. We do not need to do any of that. So, if you saw my last video, that was a problem. That's a problem I've been noticing. It's trying to change lanes either way too early. Like I think it's gonna make a left turn, but that's like a few miles away. Or it's like it'll go back and forth between the two lanes. It'll do that sometimes as well. I don't know why that is. It seems to happen after I've been using it for a few minutes. Like this route, I took this route already, and it didn't do it. And then this time it did that. Alright, we stopped and now we're going. Good stuff. Beautiful. It was beautiful. Again, this is so much better than the last version. It's got its own set of hiccups, just like Elon always says, 1 step forward, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I think this one actually might be 3 steps forward, 1 step back. Like, why are we, it didn't even put the indicator on. Like, what the heck was that about? And now it's going back over here. I don't know, I think it's having trouble recognizing the lines. That's something it never did in the old version, so that's the 1 step back, see? Yeah, so I can't see the lines here either. I don't know if there are any lines. No, there aren't any lines there. So it's getting confused. But it needs to not get confused. I mean, I'm not sure why I can't just see the whole width of the lane, which it can already do, and split it into like a reasonable lane size, like I would do. Even if it was a 1-lane road, you can, as a human, discern if it can be 2 lanes, and then just pick a side. Obviously, it's not being programmed to do that; it's learning on its own. So I guess that's the downfalls. Not everything can be, since you're not programming it in. You can't program in everything, right? So they gotta use the AI method so they can learn. But that comes with its own set of restrictions or limitations. So what Tesla has is basically the more data they get, the better it gets. But how much data? Like, is there ever going to be enough data? Like I know Waymo. I've been watching a lot of Waymo videos. There's a man, I wish I could remember his name. But there's a great YouTuber that uploads his Waymo drives like all the time. Well, not all the time, but he uploads them enough so that we can get a picture of it. That was a pretty hard break, but okay. I don't want to break that hard in the rain, but let's go. He uploads the video all the time, and it does a fine job in its area. Now, the roads he's on in Phoenix, Chandler, Arizona, are spectacular. Oh, this is an interesting thing. Let me just interrupt my own self. This actually lane's gonna turn into a 1 lane now. So now it's gotta go over. I'm gonna be ready. Nope, see? So that's funny, because last time it did that well. It did it okay. It did it anyway. This time it did not do it well. That was borderline about to hit the cones. And it did this part well too. Let's see if it does it well this time. Nope, it did not. So that's so weird. It can do the same route over and over. Well, it did the same route back to back, basically. And I just did that a couple minutes ago. And it got it wrong the second time. So odd. So anyway, so those roads are, well, like this almost, but flatter. And even less of a problem. So they're really easy. And as I understand it, Waymo maps the area, and then the car just kind of finds the real-time changes in it, which is probably more like what you would do as a driver of the area constantly, but it's not something you can do if you go to a new area altogether. So that's what Tesla's saying, that the mapping thing is just not going to work. It's not scalable. You can't map every single road in the world. I don't know if you can or can't, but at the very least, they want to have a method that works anywhere. And if the road changes, if there's not a road anymore, like my complex didn't exist even a year ago where I live, and so you couldn't have mapped it. If you didn't map it, you have to map it in like today if you wanted to get a real thing, because they're literally building it right now. So is it not going to work within those areas? That doesn't seem reasonable. So, but there's some limitations. I think there should be some sort of intuition to the AI. Like, hey, this is what roads have looked like, you know, over these past billion plus miles. It's like, so I can kind of imagine, even if I see something that vaguely resembles, that I can kind of bisect it into the many parts, the many lanes it could be or not. And even if it's a two-way as opposed to a one-way, just by judging how the cars are parked, how the houses are lined up, how the street's facing, you can, as I can tell, if the road's going to be one way or two ways. And of course the signs. But even if there's no signs, yep, I can still tell, because I drive a whole lot. You know, lately I haven't driven much, but I used to do like, I don't know, 30,000 miles a year, maybe 40 at one time. I've seen a lot of different roads and would-be roads and couldn't-be roads. I also drive between here, McKinney, well, Texas in general, and New Jersey, which is about which is exactly 1,536 miles. So that's one way. So both ways is a little over 3,000 miles. I drive, and almost exclusively on autopilot, because it's on highways. So it's on highways, it's just about perfect, except for when it rains. Then it can't change lanes. So I'd like to think that I have a good idea what roads look like, but I think even I mean, we're just generalized AI, right? That's what humans are. So I think even with that little bit of that, it should be able to achieve fully self-driving. Like, I don't have to be behind here anymore, and it doesn't need to map out an area just to get it. Obviously, that's a lot tougher than it seems because we don't have it yet. The only successful one I've seen is the Waymo, at least in the United States, is the Waymo one that has to map out and use the the cameras for real-time adjustments. But if I understood what I saw some presentation about the Waymo one, and if I understood it, it can do this. In theory, it can do this without the map too. The map is like it's memory. That's their way of achieving a memory of the how roads are. Again, I think that's great, but we need a definitely more generalized idea of what a road is, even when it's like a dirt road, or even on grass. Cause like if I got to park my car, like there's a lot of events I go to that you got to park on the grass because the place wasn't designed to have that many cars. And if I'm in a full self-driving rideshare and it can't get to that area, that's a whole, it could be miles. It could be like a quarter of a mile you're walking, to that event because your car couldn't get you there. That's not an issue, that's not a big issue because those events aren't like every day, but it's still a solution, still a problem that needs solving for it if we want to have no more human drivers on the road. Since driving is like one of the most dangerous things you can do in your life. Oh, that was interesting. Kind of jerked me that way on a tiny bit, so you probably can't tell from the wheel, but curious why. I don't know if I said this before in my videos, but I really like, one of the biggest improvement that I have with this one, this FSD 9, is that how it handles this. Stopping behind, well, maybe not this specifically, but stopping behind cars at a red light. Before, the old one, you know, the speed limit for these roads over here is like 65 miles an hour. Just on the regular roads. The highways are even faster. So you're doing 60, maybe 70 miles an hour, and the cars are stopped. There, you can see them stopped way up there, but it wouldn't slow down before. It would just gun it until it got way too close, and then it pretty much slammed on the brakes. Obviously, that is not the way to do it. But this one is a lot more graceful. It's a lot more like a most drivers I know would be. I actually took control to make it go over into this lane because I want to test out something specific. Because there's all these lanes have turn-offs, and turn-off seems to give it a bit of a headache. So I want to purposely, there we go. So it gives it that headache. It seems to want to go into that lane sometimes, and that's still happening. And here we go again. Yep. So for some reason these turn-offs still catch it, still get it, even though the line is like right there. So I don't know why it does. Now we actually do have to turn off here. Wow, that was kind of close to the sidewalk, but it made it. I'm not going to report that because that was actually fine. Having said that, most of my friends drive like that, so. All right. So that's it for this one. I am going to take over and get it to where it needs to really go. And you guys have a good one. Check you in the next one.